yourself in Gaeilge and in English.
Hi, it's Misha Sarah, agus is Misha an Banistor Fáchas on Just the Thaibhneach. So, hi, I'm Sarah and I am the front of house manager here in An Thaibhneach.
Hi, Lumsa Alicia. I should say it's Misha Alicia. Lumsa Alicia. Tom Mahoney and Nolium. Tom I go over for Law to Thaibhneach. Hi, I'm Alicia. I'm living in Galway and I'm working in An Thaibhneach.
Hi, it's Misha Roisin, Tama Thai Arbor Just Thaibhneach. Hi, my name is Roisin. I'm here on work placement in Thaibhneach.
Perfect. How did each of you learn these languages?
So I went to an all-Irish speaking primary school, but I would have been speaking English at home with my parents. But yeah, so I learned most of it through school, and then I was in the Irish stream in my secondary school. You had the option to do the first 3 years in Irish, and then I did a diploma while I was in university as well.
I grew up speaking English. My mom is a native English speaker. My dad is a native French speaker, so I spoke with French as well at home. And then would just have come across Irish in my regular schooling. I went to all English speaking primary, secondary and university education. So all of my Irish is learned through the regular stream. And then when I moved to Galway, because it's a bilingual city and I love languages, I said, I need to get in on that. So I did a course in the university, and then I did a course in Oris and Wales, and then I started working on Thaibhneach and loved the language.
I was raised with Irish. Both my parents are native speakers. They were teaching their whole lives, and as were all of their other family members, so it was kind of always passed down. My mum spoke in English to me when I was young, and then my dad spoke in Irish, so I'd have the best of both worlds. Kind of helped me unlock all these doors and have more opportunities. I went to an Irish primary school and then an English secondary school, and then we moved to Galway, and then I went to another English secondary school and then University of Galway, and I'm doing Irish and media.
Nice, thank you. So in your day-to-day lives, how do you find where you use Irish versus where you use English?
So for me, I was mostly just my day-to-day life was predominantly English until starting to work here. So obviously I had spoken Irish throughout schooling, and some friends of mine and one of my aunties and cousins, we would speak Irish together now and again, but it wasn't really a consistent part of my life after finishing school until starting to work here, where we work predominantly through Irish.
I, funnily, use Irish a lot more in my recent life. I was in a relationship with a girl from England and I didn't use Irish at all, but I always, my mom used to always say to me, if you want to learn a language, you should date someone who speaks the language that you want to learn. And so I've been doing that now with Irish, and it's really, really, really improving my Irish, because if you want to flirt with someone in a language, then you have a way bigger desire. Well, you're asking me, this is how I use my Irish. You have a way bigger desire to flex a nice shanacle or a nice conjugation setting, a little sexy grammar. So, and then I obviously have my friends in An Thaibhneach, and I play football bilingually as well. So I'm in a bilingual club, and we're in the Gaeilge league as well as an English speaking league. So it kind of populates most aspects of my life at the moment, and my mom wants to learn as well. So
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
I'm surrounded by a good bit of Irish at home and in work as well. I'm obviously working here, and I work in part-time and lifestyle as well, and that's obviously mostly English, but I try to speak Irish as much as I can, and I have a little thing on my lanyard that says Tá Gaeilge, and I wear my fáine, so that the people that come in from Connemara looking for some brogy, I can help them out. And in university as well, all my friends would have Irish and play trad and do set dancing and stuff, and then at home again there'd be Irish in the house.
Nice. Could you tell us a little bit about the Thaibhneach? Just in terms of the work that it does.
Yeah, so An Thaibhneach is the National Irish Language Theatre. So we have gotten funding in the past few years to really hone in on the use of the Irish language and creating art and theatre work in Irish. That is the kind of predominant goal with the theatre. So any works that are shown here have to be really, platforming the Irish language, or at least be bilingual. And we have the cafe space now as well, open 6 days a week, and it's just a kind of hub for people to be able to come in and either use their cúpla focal or have, you know, a fully fluent conversation, or, you know, it's welcome to anyone regardless of their level. So I think tourists, it's fun for them to come in and just be able to hear the Irish language spoken, because it's not so commonly heard in sort of the day-to-day world.
And remember, Antibes was founded in like 1928, like just after the foundation of the Irish Free State. So, and it was always founded as an Irish National Language Theatre.
Yeah.
So it's like a very historic institution for the language and for the arts, and like situated in that like new state, like new Ireland kind of context. The Antibes has like a strong history of putting on shows and like showcasing the language as like culturally significant and relevant.
It's definitely doing a lot for artists that just want to express themselves, because we're obviously very open and welcoming to people who want to share their ideas and express themselves, be it through music, through dance, through drama. We're always welcoming people in with open arms and hoping to see what we can do if we work together with them.
Nice. So recently, like maybe in the past few years, it seems like there's been a growing mainstream interest in the Irish language and culture, perhaps especially among younger generations. Have you guys personally observed this? What might be motivating it?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's visible. I think it's not necessarily, I would think, and correct me if you guys think otherwise, I wouldn't even say it's a renaissance necessarily of the Irish language. It's almost the emphasis on it becoming more trendy or cool. But it's always been there, it's always been used. But definitely there's been a really amazing rise of interest in younger generations, I think, again, and people who might not have grown up with Irish, or maybe went to Irish school but then didn't use it in their day-to-day lives, and sort of were losing some of their fluency. But I think it's been a lot of change in sort of the mainstream media and social media, and different artists, and different things to really encourage people to, I think of it as cool, which is great. What do you guys think?
I think I've definitely jumped on the bandwagon, like fully. I'm like trying to drive the van a little bit, but I actually would like, just thinking about it there, like there is like a flip side of it where I do think the language has been like commodified a little bit and turned into like a product that's like cool to sell stuff, like even Pelador and like the rise of the Triskel. But it's really cool to see independent artists like Aoife Cawley making those cool scarves. But on the flip side, you have people walking around with Triskel scarf that can't even tell you how many irregular verbs there are, and won't risk being bad at the language because they're like afraid of making mistakes and stuff. So like there's a double-edged sword of like people want to commodify the language and it's really cool, and then there's like a housing crisis in the Gaeltacht and like not enough funding for the language, and like the education system is tapped and then kids are being exempt. Like there's there's a flip side. So yeah, it's trendy and really cool, and there is a huge rise in it, but the culture has always been cool, and the culture has always been relevant and interesting and worth investing time into. So there's, for me, that is going on.
I think it's always been kind of Beobacht in the Gaeltacht regions, but obviously they wouldn't be getting as much media coverage and stuff, and all the Imachtaí and things that they're hosting, like all the events, wouldn't be as well known because it wouldn't be spread, because there wouldn't be people going out there wanting to document what's going on every second of the day when people are speaking Irish or doing some sort of an event to promote it. But we're lucky now through the media that the Irish language is spreading, and that a lot of people have respect for it, and that they want to speak it, or if they want to learn how to speak it, they can learn it through even just going through their phones or knowing where a class is that is being given out to them for free even. But I agree with Alicia in saying that it's very much a double-edged sword, especially the education bit. I maybe want to look into teaching, but I think it's that teachers in general and the way you teach things have such an influence on the kids and the way that they're going to respect the language and the way that they're going to want to carry on through their education with the language or without it. So I think it's quite important, and the curriculum definitely does need to be changed beneficially.
Yeah, what do you each think maybe are the main challenges for getting younger people to be not just superficially, but like deeply invested in Gaeilge, and how might people combat these challenges?
I think it definitely, I think, originates, linking back to what Roshan was just saying, to the education system. I think it's kind of complicated because I think that the quality of Irish teaching isn't high enough, and I think that the teachers who are teaching Irish to the younger generation don't have a high enough standard themselves to be able to give a good enough quality of it that those kids can continue that on more successfully. But at the same time, I think there is that resistance that a lot of people have of feeling like Irish isn't theirs, and that of not even wanting to try. And I don't want to kind of perpetuate that idea of, oh, your Irish isn't good enough, you shouldn't use it, because I think that's really a barrier that's just holding everyone back then. But I think there should be more emphasis on the education, and I think it is worth it being mandatory in schooling. But that's maybe, I don't know if everyone will agree with that.
Not to get a bit like deep with it, but I do think if we had a government that cared about every single person on the island and their quality of life, and if we had a more socially minded policy system in place and like a legislative structure, that parents didn't have to come home and worry about how they're going to pay their bills and how they're going to feed their children, that they could actually spend a bit of time reading in Irish with them, or spending a bit more time just being invested in their children. And if we just as a whole society could worry less about food and housing and general safety, it would have a massive repercussion on like children's ability to embed into a culture. And as well, if with that in tandem less outward migration of young people, we would actually be able to retain the people who are passionate about Ireland and who love it and who love the language and want to invest back into it. That would all happen. So for me, it's a realtors and have an awful lot to answer to, and they're not answering enough, because there isn't enough pressure, because the young people are emigrating left, right and centre. Think about the amount of Gaeilgeoirs that leave. I'm sure that you have a lot of friends that have gone to Australia and Canada and whatever. And these are people that would be furthering deepening the relationships within their community, and like putting on more events, and like making the reach of the language even further. So yeah, I think we need to become a socialist republic again.
I think with this kind of generation, there's still a lot of people that have no respect for the language whatsoever. And like whenever you hear people talking about school subjects and it's what's your least favourite subject, it would be Irish or maths, like, and it would be, I'd be absolutely gobsmacked the way that people just kind of look over this language when people have fought so hard to keep it alive and to keep people speaking our words, like, there's so much involved in it, like from the culture and then everything that Ireland has done and that the Irish people have fought for people just to kind of look over it and not treat it with respect or give it the respect that it deserves. It's just awful, like.
Would each of you be able to speak a bit to how, like what being able to speak Gaeilge personally means to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's something that I'm really proud of, even though, my own level of Irish isn't where I would want it to be, and I'm always trying to keep learning and furthering my own standard. But I think it feels really important to me, and special. I think, I mean, look, the reality is if we hadn't been colonized, we would all be speaking Irish. It would be our mother tongue, and I think it feels like a point of sort of resistance to that, of kind of feeling like a feat that, despite all of the history and like abuse and colonization that Ireland has been through, that there are still so many people with a passion for the language, or so many, still native speakers. It feels really important, and it's something I'm proud of, to kind of be able to still be speaking it. And I think it feels really like a strong connection to Ireland and that sort of Irish pride, I guess.
Well, like Irish is a funny one, because I always grew up feeling like an Irish French person, and yet I was speaking French and English all the time. So coming to Ireland now in my mid-20s, like, and actually really becoming a bit obsessed with it, feels like such a homecoming to myself and to like all of the people in my family tree that I'll never get to meet, or maybe in the next life, but like in this life I don't know them. The only way I have to know them is through the language, and these people probably weren't speaking Irish. There's probably a long line before you get to Irish speakers in my personal family because they're all from Monaghan. So there's just something like a bit magical, like not magical, it's like, I don't know, in the DNA that feels right, and it just is great. And it connects me to all the other people as well that like I would never have met. And there is like a real rebellious aspect to like the native speakers that I feel like a respect and graw towards those pockets of Ireland that people just always said no, like you can't take my words, you can take everything else and you can let us die or whatever, but you can't take my words, and that like level of like interconnectedness. And because language is just a tool to tap into other human beings, which is also like tapping into the self, and I just fucking love it. Sorry.
It's allowed.
Okay.
What does Irish mean to you?
Irish is basically all I've ever known. I had a lot of Irish, more than I did English. In regards to my learning and stuff, I would know a lot more words in Irish than I would English. Being brought up through the Gaeilge and stuff, I found it quite difficult to go from an Irish school to an English school. I'm very, very proud to be able to speak our language, obviously, and it's so great to be able to just communicate with people that have the same love and the same passion for the Irish language. And like the turnouts for like the Ceart and Moorhew and things, it's really overwhelming to see all these people come out and fight for our language that people before us have fought for, and we just have to keep that going, you know, and not let the language die out. Like
It's not gonna die.
Do you each have any advice for people who are hoping to learn Gaeilge themselves, or perhaps another like heritage and or minoritized language?
I think just go for it. I think that there's, as we were sort of saying, such a resistance for people to speak Irish here. You know, it's even people coming into the cafe. It's so heartwarming to see someone kind of sheepishly using their language, but you're encouraging them and you're wanting, because I think so many people think like, oh God, I'm going to make grammar mistakes, I'm going to pronounce something wrong, or I can't remember this word, and so they just won't bother trying at all. But I think that's only going to lead to less and less Irish being used. And I think a lot of people have, sort of that loss in them, and a lot of people, or friends I know, who don't have much Irish will really regret that they don't and wish they did. So I think it's really just going for it and not being afraid to make mistakes, and allow yourself to be a beginner and be learning, and don't feel too intimidated, because, even coming in here, the National Irish Language Theatre and into the cafe, we love it when we see someone trying, even if they are making mistakes. It's great. And yeah, I think people should just feel more confident to give it a go, and if, even if it's not perfect.
Yeah, get over yourself and have a bit of fun. Like, it's literally like the funnest thing ever, and like learning new words and like seeing the similarities. If you have another language, look, like if you have more than just English as well, it's so fun to see the crossover between different languages, and to just like be bad at something is actually really, really fun, because if you know you're bad at it, then you can only get better. Like, it's great. Just, get over it.
I think there's so much kind of resources and things available for people that want to be learning, from classes in person to classes online, but I wouldn't be recommending the likes of Duolingo or anything to people.
No grammar with Duolingo.
No, like I know Juan likes bread. Like, I think that with the Irish language, the most important thing for me is that people have respect for it, and with learning it, it's so much easier and more beneficial if you do it in person, through speaking the language, as opposed to kind of typing out things or just writing. Having the language and being able to speak it. So.
Oh, and remember, Irish is like an oral traditional language. It was spoken before it was written, so it's like more natural and part of the tradition to just go and speak.
I think also with what you were saying of get over yourself and go for it, I think so many people use the excuse of Irish being a really difficult language or it's too hard to learn. Yeah, I mean, like, the grammar can be complicated, but like, imagine learning English for the first time.
Yeah,
like,
girl.
English is so complicated and
Yeah.
difficult, and look, so many people learning.
Globally.
Yes. So I think, you know, we need to stop not pretending, but like making the excuse that like, oh no, it's too hard, I won't even try.
And also, when you were saying about the guilt, that's another excuse. Like, guilt, you can choose to be like, okay, yeah, I feel a bit guilty, but I'm going to forgive myself for that guilt. I'm going to don't do it.
Yeah.
Have a bit of action,
Mm-hmm.
bit of fun of.
Bit of when you
You need to push yourself.
Yeah.
You got your back.
Captain Cliveberg has got your back.
come right here.
Is there anything else that any of you would like to share?
Not Hobbery, Dana.
I think whether it's your cúpla focal or if you just, you know, I don't know, want to come and try out one thing you learned, do it or speak it and share it with your friends. I think as well, so many of us would have a small bit of Irish from school but be too shy to even practice it. And I think just like, yeah, go for it.
Is for Gaeilge.
Brista, na verla clista.